Are you happy to live in the free state of Florida? Are you going to make sure you work hard between now and November 8th so we can keep it that way? And in the process, will you help me send a tired, old, worn-out old donkey back to pasture one last time? We're so happy to be here. I want to thank everybody that's come out. How many of you have moved to Florida since I got elected governor in 2018? New Floridians, okay. How many of you would have still moved if I had lost for governor in 2018? A couple of them may have. Okay, that's more than usually raise their hand. So we appreciate having you. I think that I remember being out here. I was a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy, and they sent me around to recruit for the Navy JAG Corps, and I came to Ave Maria to do that. And most of this stuff was not here. This was probably 15 years ago. And I remember going, people were nice, everything. And then last year, I came back to throw out the first pitch at the Little League opening season. And we had a big crowd, but I'm going through. I see all these homes. I see all the town square and everything like that. So it's really remarkable what's happened and how much this has grown. And it seems like you can't build the homes fast enough for people wanting to come down here. So congratulations on all the success. And I just want to make sure we're clear. You do have a responsibility to go out and vote. How many have already voted? Okay. How many are going to wait till Election Day to vote? How many of them are going to vote early between now and Election Day? All right. If you didn't raise your hand, we have some problems. So make sure that you're doing that. We're happy to be here. You know, I was just in. So yesterday, my wife, as you saw come up here, she did with the three of us. So we only had two of them up because our 2-year-old. It's just coming down to Southwest Florida and all that. So my mom's watching her, but she brought all three of them to Doak Campbell Stadium to do the coin toss for the Florida State football game, and that was very good. And then they came with the two older ones and accompanied me and my wife in Jacksonville, and I did the coin toss for the Florida-Georgia game. And so she's been on the road with all this stuff, doing a lot. But then I went up, because I is a friend of mine and I told them I'd help. I went up to Long Island, New York to help with our governor's race up there. And I think he's going to win. He's a good candidate. And but the thing was, so I go up there, and sometimes you just help friends of yours. Like one of my buddies in Nevada is running for Senate, U.S. Senate. We helped him, help other people. But this one, I could say, I have in Florida, all these other races around the country affect us. Because if you think about like Georgia, this governor's race, our governor's running against a candidate called Stacey Abrams. And I think the governor's going to be fine. I don't think it's going to even really be close. But if Stacey Abrams were to win governor of Georgia, it would absolutely spark refugees into Florida from Georgia. People would not want to deal with it. They would come in droves. They would move to Florida, and they'd be done with it. And then just think about what I would have to deal with. Raul Castro to my south and Abrams to my north? I don't think so. That's not good. So you see this, but what we've seen is, and many of you have probably come, you were in jurisdictions governed by failed leftist ideology and corrupt politicians. And so you see the migration, and since COVID, we've led the nation in net in-migration since COVID. We've had more adjusted gross income move into the state of Florida than has ever moved into any state in the history of our country over a similar time period. And this is just people voting with their feet. I mean, you can listen to corporate media try to gaslight you, saying California's great, New York's great, Florida's not. But most people believe their own eyes, and you can see in their behavior how they do this. But when people come, they will tell me about the problems that you see in a lot of these other states. And so they'll come. I was at Florida, Georgia yesterday. I'm shaking hands like the people. I'm on the field. I'm shaking hands with the people in the front row. Some guy jumps down, and he's like, I'm so happy to be here. I just moved my business from New York. I can't take it anymore. And I love being in Florida. And so I've been able to see what works in Florida, but I've also been able to see what doesn't work, because we have been basically the place that people go for refuge to live in a free state when they're being ground down by a lot of these woke imbeciles running so many parts of our country. And they had mentioned how close it was just 4 years ago. And if the election in 2018 had gone a different direction, we would have been looking at a much different 4 years than we have over the last 4 years. I can tell you that. And it comes down to, ultimately, you got to believe in the right things for sure, but you got to be willing to exercise leadership when it counts. That is the defining characteristic of somebody that can be a strong governor. And so for us, no one knew that something like COVID was going to happen 4 years ago. When it did, governors had to make different decisions. And I remember the summer of 2020, I got a letter from every Democrat member of the U.S. Congress from Florida saying that it was wrong to have businesses open, it was wrong to be putting kids back in school, and it was wrong to let people make their own decisions. And they said, you must lock down the state of Florida right now. You must make people shelter in place like they did in some of these other areas. And I'm looking at this, and the media was agreeing with this letter. I mean, the media is attacking me. The left's attacking me. I even had some weak Republicans attacking me for keeping the state open. So I was thinking about, I looked at the letter and I said, if you followed what they would want to do, it would destroy the state of Florida. It would throw millions of people's lives in turmoil. It would violate people's rights. It would cause thousands and thousands of businesses to go under. And it would deny millions of kids the ability to have education in person 5 days a week. And so I said, yeah, I get that, there's a lot of pressure. I get people are pounding on me and I'm taking a lot of arrows. But the only appropriate response I could have to that was to take the letter, crumple it up, and throw it in the trash can. And that's what we did.